Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video we're going to make a grave that will spawn whenever a player dies in your game. So let's make a base plate and let's make a script. If you want the graves to be local, which means only the player that have died you will see his graves, you need to use a local script and slightly change the code. But for now I'll just go with server script, which means the graves of all the players will show up to all the players basically. So anyway, now I do need the grave model first. So let's look for a grave model, or you can create one. So for example, we'll get this one here. Okay. Now this is a model, and whenever you want to position a model, you need a part that will act as your reference to position the model that you want to position. So I'll make a part here, just like this. Okay, and you need to make sure that the top side is facing the top, or actually the look vector is facing the top. Alright, so sadly Roblox have removed that, but I guess if you come here, show orientation, no way. Let's do it by code. So game.selection, so I'm getting my selection, get, and then I'm getting the first item that is selected, and I'm saying dot, front surface is equal to enum dot surface type dot hinge. Alright, here we go. And also the top surface, because why not? And here we go. So the front surface, let me make this something else actually. The top surface, let it be for example an inlet. Alright, cool. Now this is the top side and this is the look vector, the front side. So the front side should be looking at the top of the grave, and the top side you can make it look at the look vector of the grave. It doesn't matter actually, but you can do that. So now it's just important that this look vector or this front surface faces upwards, or upwards relative to the grave itself. And then you can go ahead and say this. Wait a sec, let's size it up. By the way, you can, if you can't size it a lot, like just one side, you can change it here in model and then change it to 0.01, 0.05, depending on the precision that you want. I'm using 0.05 here because it's okay for my case. And now, since I made it smaller, I can, grab it down, and I'll just put it here just like this. So this part, including its model, will be positioned in the player's death position. So let's go. Alright, now you can just take this part, put it in the grave, and call it reference point if you want, or a pivot point even, because why not? And make it as a primary part to the model, and here we go. You're done, you're set. Now what you're going to do is put this grave inside the script, and here we go. So you need the players, so game get service players. Now local grave is equal to script for child, or just the grave, because it's a server script. So yeah. Alright, good. Now let's think about it. This is a server script, which means it will run in the server, not on every client's or every player's machine. So this code runs only once whenever the server launches, okay? So now what we need is to detect if a player joins the game. So players dot player added connect to player added. Alright, now let's make a local function called player added. And here we go, and it will give us the player that have joined. Alright, cool. Now we can even print the player.name so you can see where I'm going with this here. So if I test this, you can see that it printed my name, and whenever a player joins, this will print the player's name. Alright, cool. Now what we need else is to listen or to wait for the character to be added, the character of the player, of course. So what we can do is player.character added wait. Alright, wait, and then we can say local human wait is equal to player, or actually let's just go ahead and say character added connect function just as a, or well, let's just go with that, why not? So player wait for child human wait. The human wait can be loaded or not, so you have to wait for it every time you want to get it from the player. So human wait is equal to player wait, well, not player but character, and we'll get the character from here. So character is equal to player dot character, or here we go. So if the character is already loaded, then just give it to me. If not, wait for it to load. So most of the time, like 99.999%, this won't run because when the player just joined, the character is just starting to load. So probably this won't work anyway, but we'll just keep it there in case, who knows. And then human wait is equal to character wait for child human wait. Right, now that we waited for the human wait, which means the character have loaded. So now we need, inside the human wait, there is an event called died. And now I can connect that function. And whenever, by the way, here local variable, human wait dot died connect to a function, and we'll say, well, print, for example, player.name point have died. Now let's see how this goes. Alright, let's see. Now if I die, and here we go. And if I died again, let's see if it works. Well, it doesn't. Alright, I know why, because I didn't actually make this as a, so I need to make it as that. Alright, so yeah, player.character. So let's go ahead and say player.character added connect to a function, and and that event gives us the character. And so yeah, this time it should work just fine because we have an event. So every time a new character is added, it will do the same thing again. So if we reset, and if we reset again, here we go. As you can see, it works flawlessly. Cool. Now here, where we need to put the code of actually spawning the grave. Alright, cool. Now spawn the grave, but where? Need to give it the X and the Z, which means the location of the character. And we can get the location by doing human weight dot root part. Okay, and you can say dot position. Now I need to make a function called spawn grave. Oh, local function spawn grave, and it will give you the position. And now what I'm going to do is, well, let's try right now to actually just put the grave in that position so I can show you something, so I can demonstrate something. So let's go. First of all, I need to make a new grave because I have this model grave, but I don't want to use it just for once and then boom, I don't have any other grave. No, I want to just clone or copy this grave model and keep copying it, not use the original. That's what I mean. So local new grave is equal to grave clone. Alright, good. Now we have a new grave. Now what we should do is position that grave. So new grave, set primary part cframe. Okay. And as you see, set primary part cframe. And we already have set up a primary part. If not, it will throw an error. And let's just, you can do that. So if new, or let's say, if not grave dot primary part, then oh god. So if there's no grave dot primary part, before actually running anything, we want to say error, please add a primary part to the grave model. Alright, cool. And by the way, we can say find first child here, grave, just so it doesn't error when it doesn't find it. And we'll say if not grave, then error, please add a grave model inside this script. And I'll call this script, well, grave spawner. Okay. Inside the script, and here we go. As a child of this script. Alright, cool. Just to make sure that you actually don't. So if you have missed a step in the making of this video, the script will tell you in the output. For example, as you can see here, please add a grave model as a child with this script. And by the way, it needs to be anchored, as you've seen there. Alright, cool. Now let's put it back. And if you don't have a primary part set up, then it will error too. It will tell you that you need to add a primary part, as you can see here. Well, it didn't for some fucking reason. But I mean, dude, come on. It doesn't have a primary part. Why? Oh, because I need to die first. So actually, instead of, waiting for that, let's just say this in front, just like this, okay? Let's say this is called init. Alright, so just like this. And then, so this is just for errors, okay? And then let's make sure to actually call init. And here we go. Now we should be fine. So primary part cframe. Now here we need to set up the position. So let's say cframe.new pose. So I'm basically constructing a simple cframe from the position given. And oh yeah, I need to add a primary part, so pivot point and that I made before, and let's see what's gonna happen here. Let's reset the character. And so nothing have happened because we actually didn't parent the new grave to the workspace, because if it's not, then it won't show up in the workspace, which is the world that the player, play in. So let's see what's gonna happen here. Okay, so next set character reset, and you'll notice something very weird. Okay, so as you can see, the grave is floating and it's not oriented correctly, as you can see. So how we can do that? That's the question. So to do that, we need to detect where the ground is. So we have the X and the Z position, but we do need to find the Y position of the ground. And we also need to find the normal, or the orientation of the ground. So the grave will be aligned with the ground that the player have died in. So let's go and do that, and how we can do that using rays. So let's create a ray. So local, well, first let's see what we need. Workspace, raycast. So we need an origin, and we need a direction, and raycast params. Alright, cool. Alright, so we do need the raycast params first. Is equal to raycast params dot new, and then let's say raycast params dot raycast params dot, well, it's not giving me so I need to look for it. Raycast params, here we go. So it does have filter descendants instances and filter type. So I need to start with the type. Dot filter type, okay, is equal to enum dot filter type, or isn't it? Yes, raycast filter type dot. Well, I'll go with, well, the blacklist, right? Alright, cool. And now raycast params dot filter type. Now raycast params dot, well, the other one, which is filter descendants instances, and ignore water. So alright, and the other one, God, make sure that it's this variable, not the instance name. So raycast params again dot ignore water, I guess. Let's check, and here we go. So ignore water, yes, ignore water. So for this one, I'll put it here, and I'll show you why I'll put it somewhere else. I'll put it, well, here. And I'll give it the descendants filter as the character. So it doesn't detect the character. We want to detect a ground, not the character itself. And also, well, let's leave that for so I can demonstrate it later on. But for now, the character is good. Cool. Now what? Let's go ahead and say raycasts. We need the origin, which is the position that the player have died in, and then the direction. And here we'll say local down direction, where this down is equal to vector tree dot new 0, -1, 0, and then we'll say local detector length is equal to, let's say, 10 studs. Alright, so here's what you're going to do is say down times detector length, and that's it. Or instead of that, you can say directly this -10. Alright. So yeah, comma down, comma. If you want to increase the distance of the detection, just increase this number to 20, -20, -30, and stuff like that. -10 looks like a good one for me. So workspace raycast pause down, which is the direction, and we need the raycast params. Oh god. Now, this will return a raycast result. Raycast result is equal to that. So if raycast result, then it detected something. If not, it didn't detect anything. So if it didn't detect anything, well, we won't spawn any grave. But if it did detect the ground, then what we'll do is let's see, raycast result. So we need to spawn the grave. So let's give this 2 lines of code here. And I'll put it here. And instead of cframe.new pose, I'll say cframe.lookAt. Look at, well, where we want to look at the position that the raycasts have detected, the position of the ground. So what we'll say is raycast result dot position, and vector tree target, which is raycast result dot position. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this pause. I'm going to override it to this so it's cleaner. Pause, comma, pause plus well, oh, I need the normal. So local normal is equal to raycast result to normal. However, this will error if it doesn't find it. If there is no raycast result, so we should put it there. So pause is equal raycast result dot position. Local normal is equal to raycast result dot normal, and then here it'll say normal. So oh yeah, position plus normal. Okay, so basically we want to place the grave at the position of the raycast result, and then we want it to look at the position of the grave itself plus the normal. The normal is the vector coming out of the surface that is perpendicular to the surface that it hits it, which will make sure that the grave will align perfectly with the ground. And of course, make sure to do all the necessary edits that you want before actually parenting it to the workspace, because when you parent things into the workspace, they started to detect physics and stuff, which is a little bit costly, As you can see, it works fine. However, if the player died in such awkward positions, you'll have this kind of thing, which is purely unrealistic. So what you can do as an easy fix here, you can grab this grave, you know, you can get this thing right here, and then you can scale it up just like this, and scale it up however you want. Alright, and very good. And now you can put it back into the script. And if you test, alright, now let's die. Boom. Okay, let's die again. And as you can see, even when you have this awkward position, it doesn't look that awkward at least. Alright, now the little problem here, now if you just want this, you're good to go. But however, there's one other thing which I want to mention is, for example, if I am here, for example, like in the top of another grave, and then I reseated my character, you can see that, well, the grave will spawn on the top of another grave, which might be the thing that you want sometimes, but not the whole time. All right, and also our graves are just scattered in the workspace, so we need to make that a little bit more organized and better. So what we need to do is local graves folder is equal to workspace, find first child, graves folder. So you can just create it yourself here in the workspace and it will just get it. Or if it doesn't find it, it will say instance.new, it will create a new folder. And we'll call it graves folder. Actually, graves is okay. So graves folder dot name is equal to graves, well, graves, right? And then graves folder dot parent is equal to workspace. Otherwise though, let's get this thing here and we'll say if not graves folder. So if it doesn't find the graves folder though, then do that stuff. So the graves folder is equal to instance.new, and that stuff like that. And here, instead of setting the parent to the workspace, we'll set it to the graves folder. Alright, cool. Now if I test here, it should work just fine. And if you go to the workspace, you'll find the graves folder, a folder called graves. And if you reset your character, you can find that it actually, puts the grave there. And just if you want to know which grave which in your game, like using scripts, what you can do is actually call the grave model by the player's name. So you can do the font however you want to call it. Like you want to pass the player also, so you can pass, like, give it up. So player, and then here you can say new grave dot name is equal to. By the way, make sure this cloning thing is here too. It's inside, like if raycast result. If not, then you don't have to clone. Alright, so dot name is equal to player dot name. So you're just going to call it with the player's name. Alright, now if I die, here we go, we got one there. And you can see that it's called with my name there. But if I died in top of it, the grave will spawn on top of this. as you can see, which sometimes you don't want that. So how you can fix that is by adding the graves folder into here. So you can say graves folder, and you should be fine. That should be fixed. However, we'll have a little bit of another problem, which might not be a problem for some people, but might be a good thing to mention, which is that, as you can see here, first of all, this probably works just as fine. As you can see, it doesn't, care about the other grave that is in place. However, when you die in the same place, you can see they just overlap, and all the graves are facing just one place, okay? So that might be good if you want to go with that way. However, if you want to add a little bit of randomness, you can do that. So what you can do here is come to here and say times cframe.angles. Alright, so times, let's say this is, rotation. I'm just going to call it rot. And then let's say local rot is equal to this cframe.angles. And then 0, 0, and in the z here, I guess let's go with math.random minus or 0, 2 times math.pi. So this will, multiplying by this cframe.angles will rotate the model randomly from 0 angles, like from 0 degrees to 360 degrees, or 2 pi in radians. So that should be good to go. Now let's try that up. Okay, we see the character, and here we go. As you can see, there's some rotation going on, which is pretty good. Boom. Reset, and as you can see, it's working just fine. If you come here, even it will work. And even if you have, a steep surface or some crazy surface, it will align with it because we're using the normal of the raycast. So for example, if I have this wedge right here, okay, and then somehow you died in this place, which is not the best place to die in though, but okay, we'll take it. Play here. Alright, and let's see what's gonna happen. So if I die here, reset, and as you can see, it works. However, you have that crazy, and you can make it a little bit more, bigger, so it doesn't look that weird at least. Alright, that's crazy. Reset your character again. And as you can see, it works just as fine. If you're here, you died here. Boom. And that's just awesome. So yeah. Now what's next? Well, now what if you want every player to only see his own graves? So basically locally, not the whole, everyone should see the graves of basically all the other players. No, you want only the player that have died to see his graves. So what you can do is you can use an actual local script instead of a server script inside Star Player Scripts. So you can add a local script, and then I'm just going to copy this stuff, and I'm going to, of course, edit on it some stuff. First of all, this local script runs on one player's machine, so I can give the player like this. Local player is equal to players.local player. Okay, good. Next up is, by the way, I need the grave model here. Okay, graves folder, it's good. Here, make sure to wait for child because you are in the client, and whenever you're working with the client, please use wait for child. So if not graves folder, then do that. Cool, raycast params is equal to that. That's okay. All right, and here, this should run at the start because whenever this script runs, it just runs in its own player's machine. So you just need this little shit right here. You can put it in the init function. And you don't need this event connection anymore. And so you can put it here. Alright. You need the player. Just make sure the player is right. Here too. Make sure this function is before the init function, because I'm using it in the init function, which makes total sense. And I guess this should be fine. I don't see why this won't work. And as you can see, I disabled the server one and I have only the client one. And just to show you what this does, here we go, wait a sec. So if I, wait a second. I mean, I need to add a 1 second delay or some stuff like that, maybe. Let's see. Alright. Now if I go ahead and see my character, and as you can see, it puts it a grave, right? But this grave is generated using a local script, which means it's only generated in my client. So the server or the other players can't see that grave, as you can see here. I'm the only player that I can see my graves. And the other players also can only see their own graves, not mine. So as you can see, that's why you might use a local script. If you want all the players to see all the graves, then use a server script using this. If not, if you want only player to see his own graves, then use a local script. So that's pretty much it. Alright, so see you later guys. I hope you love this tutorial. Alright, so goodbye.